Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to Demon Slayer, episodes 4 and 5. So you may be wondering, like right off the bat, why am I doing 2 episodes of Demon Slayer? And some of you might just be like, oh cool, she's doing 2 episodes of Demon Slayer. Well, just to explain it, we're getting at that point in the series where I feel like it's important to make a decision. And that obviously means I need to come to terms with whether or not I want to continue reacting to this show. And up to now, my thoughts has been, okay, this show is kind of in the so bad it's good category. Like, it's clearly not that greatly made outside of like the animation, the voice acting, that kind of stuff. In terms of story and characters, which is the stuff I look at the most, it's kind of lacking in my opinion. And at the same time, I kind of viewed it as, oh, it's actually so bad in that regard that it's actually kind of funny. But while the so bad it's good format works really well for a movie, say Birdemic, Tommy Wiseau's The Room, yada yada, it doesn't work as well for something like a long-form series. Like, the series has, like, I believe 26 episodes currently. There is talks, I believe, of a second season as well coming. And for a longer series like this, especially a longer shonen series, for me at least, that's not going to hold up. The so bad it's good format is not going to be able to hold up long enough to truly remain like so bad it's good. It's just going to end up getting bad, and eventually just I would lose interest. So I really need to determine whether or not this show is going to be right for me going forward. Because as I've said in the past on this channel, I refuse to react to shows that I'm not enjoying. I'm not going to like put out a subpar reaction when I'm not enjoying a show just to finish a series or just because the series is popular. In my eyes, that is damaging as a reaction channel. You should never force yourself to react to anything that you're not enjoying or that you don't like. And granted, of course, the thing is I didn't know going into this if I would like it or not. So it's like, it's hard to tell right away. I mean, there are certain shows that it's like, okay, this show I'll probably like. But there are also certain shows that it's like, this show I just can't tell. This series was one of the ones that was more I can't tell. And again, looking into it after having watched a couple episodes so far, I think I'm at that point where I can say, like, I'm not really like into it that much. Again, I've kind of enjoyed making fun of it, but I don't want a show just to be that, you know? I want a show to be able to stand on its own for its characters and story and to actually make me really excited to get to it every time. Not a show that just, oh, it's kind of fun to make fun of. That doesn't last, like I said. At least it hasn't in the past for me. I want a show that I feel, for me, has more substance over style. Like, I don't care if the art and animation is lesser. To me, that doesn't matter. I don't care if the voice acting or whatnot isn't on par. To me, as long as the characters and the story are at their best, that's what matters. That's what's important. And it's like, right now, this series seems to be all style, no substance. It has, again, fantastic animation. Fantastic animation. It has great voice acting. It's just really well made in that regard. But in terms of story and characters, it's so lacking. I mean, Nezuko pretty much has no actual character to her. She's cute and has a vicious demon side to her. Like, that's all her character is. She has no depth. And I get that's a little bit kind of the point because she is a demon and she's not really in her right mind and all, but that's not really an excuse because we've seen other demons in this show so far and they have more sense of critical thinking and stuff than she does. And they're able to, actually form cognitive thought and show that they have personality and character. And Nezuko just doesn't have that so far. And maybe she gets it later on, or maybe even in one of these next 2 episodes I'm going to be reacting to today. But as of the first 3 episodes, she doesn't. Tanjiro, our main character, is so bland. He's a bland anime shonen protagonist. Like, he's seriously a dime a dozen. I mean, he's practically Eren Yeager, just not as angsty. He's a less angsty Eren Yeager. And it's just not that entertaining to me when we have characters like that. I mean, Eren is not that entertaining to me. I mean, of all of Attack on Titan characters, Eren is one of my least favorites. I prefer Mikasa or Zoe Hanji or Sasha Blouse. Hell, I even prefer Connie. Not just because of the name. But he's even more of a better character than Eren is. And it's just like, yeah, Eren is our main character, and it's like, And you do have to account for the main character being in such a big role in the series. That does have to be taken into account. And then on top of it, the story just isn't anything interesting. It's like, kid's family is killed by demons. He goes out for revenge, trains under your stereotypical shonen mentor figure. Whoop-de-fucking-do. It's like, you can watch almost any shonen, you'll be watching the same thing, just with a different skin over top of it. A different, like, specific type of monster, a different specific type of aesthetic, general aesthetic to the series and all that. And it's like, I just don't see personally why this is so, like, extremely hyped up as a series. I can see why people like it. Like, I can understand why people like it, but to the point that they do, it just seems kind of out of place. People are acting like it's this amazing, phenomenal show, and it's really not. It doesn't break any boundaries. At least not yet. But that's the thing. People were acting like this pretty much from the beginning, pretty much from episode 1. And it's like, and I think there are a lot of people, I'm not saying everyone, but I think a lot of fans like it for Nezuko. Let's be honest. Because whenever I see anything related to Demon Slayer, it's either her or the guy with the pig head mask thing. It's always one of those 2 characters, like, every time, pretty much. They're always the ones that are constantly being talked about, always the ones constantly being memed. And it's like, it pretty much centers around those 2 characters. And again, Nezuko just doesn't do it for me. I don't know how the pig mask guy is. Haven't encountered him yet, but still. Let's just put it this way. These first 4 episodes didn't impress me. It was fun to kind of make fun of them and laugh at how ridiculous and kind of stupid they were. but they didn't impress me and they didn't entertain me as much as they needed to. So yeah, I feel like we need to figure this out. I feel like we need to finally determine whether or not we're going to continue this. And so we're doing 2 episodes today to, well, determine that, to figure out if this show is going to be for me to any degree, pretty much. Because right now, if I were to judge it based on the first 3 episodes, it would be a hard no. But I'm giving it 2 more episodes. I'm going to give it another chance. And we're going to hope for the best, basically. And if I end up wanting to continue, awesome. I hope for that. As I've said in the past, I always want shows to impress me. I always want them to prove me wrong in these situations. I always want them to be good. I never want to dislike a show. So it's like, I want this to prove me wrong. But at the same time, if I do end up after these 2 episodes still not liking it enough, then I am going to drop it. And if I do drop it, then, I mean, simply put, it's like we'll move on. We'll get to something else on our list. And I already know what's coming up next in this slot, no matter what. But still. I don't know what these 2 episodes are going to do, because we kind of passed the training now. Tanjiro's finished his training. There's something about like some kind of final determination for the core, the Demon Slayer core, that he has to go do, like, which kind of makes me think it's going to be some kind of weird shonen tournament arc kind of thing. Like, oh, you have to prove yourself one final time, and to do so, you have to beat all these other Demon Slayer candidates. That's the only thing that comes to mind with this with what we were told about this from the old guy. I don't know. It's just, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I don't remember if Nezuko woke up last time or not, because she had been in that deep sleep and everything. So I don't remember if she's currently awake or not. All I know is that Tanjiro managed to slice through the boulder after being trained by some creepy children who might not have even existed. It's hard to tell. Because it's like, okay, they're there, they're helping train him, and then all of a sudden they just literally disappear into thin air. And it's like, what? We'll see where that goes, if that goes anywhere. Maybe that's just going to be an eternal mystery of this series. But yeah, I am hoping for the best here. I am hoping that this proves me wrong. Knew the dog was about to start barking, but I heard the male person. Sorry about that. Yeah, I hope this proves me wrong, and we're just going to get on with it, check out these 2 episodes, and see what it has in store. So, thank you so much for tuning in, and let's just get this going. When the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episodes. So that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we will begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. Okay. So right off the bat, I will say that these 2 episodes were better than the first 3. By actually a pretty good deal. The events that happened within them were more interesting. The different elements that were brought up, such as the crow, like choosing the ore for your own sword, all of that jazz was definitely interesting. The action was so far in this series at its peak. And it just seems like this is like more of what the series is meant to be, I would say. Like the first 3 episodes obviously set up. And these 2 episodes are showing like, okay, this is more of what what you can expect from this series. And real quick, I want to mention because it was brought up, someone brought it up in comments and all. But it's like when I say that like this series is being very stereotypical or very generic or not very well written or whatnot, when I say stuff like that, I'm talking about as to where it's at. I'm specifically referring to the point as of what I've watched as of this point. I'm not saying like, oh, the entire series is automatically terrible because what I've seen, like 3 episodes before now, is terrible. That's not the kind of thing I'm saying when I say that stuff. I just mean I mean solely as to where I've gotten to in the show so far. So keep that in mind. So my issues prior to this, prior to these 2 episodes, were just again the first 3 episodes. Now, as for these two, like I said, they were definitely a lot more interesting, a lot more exciting, definitely had more great action, some amazing visual content. The animation alone, especially when he was slaying some of the demons in the final exam, was really good, especially using that water technique with the sword, like the kind of different, almost different animation on the little effects, the water effects when he's using that technique is really cool. It's really well animated. And by having it look different than the rest of the art style and animation stuff, actually, I feel helps it. However, the final selection exam itself was a massive letdown. The final selection exam was a massive letdown. And I'm not just saying that just because it wasn't a tournament arc kind of thing. It was kind of built up to be like this big, intense thing. And it was almost kind of skimmed past, like it wasn't important. It was just rushed on through. That should have lasted at least 2 episodes, like 2 full episodes, I feel. For a 7-day, basically endurance challenge, trying to survive in that forest for 7 days, being constantly attacked and surrounded by demons, except during the day where, you know, the sunlight will protect you. Yeah, it's just like, it was built up to be something bigger and more exciting and extravagant and everything. And really, outside of the part with the morphed demon, it was meh. It was just very meh. Like they didn't. There wasn't really anything to it. It's pretty much like, oh, you see Tanjiro kill a couple demons, try to ask them about saving Nezuko, and then he gets back to the Wisteria and everything's good. Yeah, all right. There was no real tension that was allowed to build up in this. It felt like it was too easy. I understand a lot of shonen characters, a lot of shonen heroes tend to be really OP and tend to be able to get through a lot of these exams. But let's compare this to Yu Yu Hakusho. Yusuke, his training with Genkai was not this easy. In fact, it actually was not easy at all for him. His training in general was not easy. And it took a lot more. It had a lot more tension. It felt like it was better handled. Here, it just felt like it was just like a little like thing kind of thrown to the side just for the hell of it. It's like, oh, we're just gonna have him like become a full demon, part of the Demon Slayer Corps, but the actual final test is gonna be like pretty much nothing. Honestly, I felt there was more tension and more danger from the training that Urokodaki gave him. I feel like that was much bigger of a deal, and that's not a good thing. Because that comes across as really that they're letting anyone into the Demon Slayer Corps. That's what it comes across as to me, because again, it just didn't seem like there was really much of anything to it. I mean, yes, out of like 20 something people there, only 4 survived, even though the one guy said like 5, though I have no idea what that was about. Unless one other did survive and we just didn't see them yet. That could possibly be it, I guess. Maybe they were like hiding, or maybe they just hadn't come out of the forest yet, but they still actually survived. Um, but it's like, it just felt so weak as a final selection exam. It didn't feel like it had any oomph to it, like it had any level of excitement. And then they gave this morphed demon a backstory that was completely unnecessary and honestly just felt really it felt really unnecessary, and it felt like forced. Like they were trying to force emotion. They were trying to force feels on the viewers, showing that, yeah, obviously humans can turn into demons and become these monsters too, which we already knew with Nezuko. And this is kind of showing the opposite side of Nezuko, though, because while Nezuko is holding on to her humanity in a way, the morphed demon did not. The morphed demon, we found out, killed his brother and just completely became a mindless evil demon. Well, not mindless, but you know what I mean. It just feels really random. It really wasn't needed and kind of came across as cheap. Like, again, they were trying to get a cheap sense of feels out of us as viewers. And while that's not always like the worst thing in the world for them to add something like that, usually it's like, oh, it wasn't needed, but it doesn't take away. In this case, I did think it took away a little bit. Now, it wasn't like this massive issue, but I think it took away because I feel that it didn't do anything. Like, if there was some reason to care about that story, if there was some reason to care about this demon, like if the demon had maybe shown hesitation towards attacking Tanjiro at some point, like remembering his brother, that would have been better. But in this case, it's just like some random backstory thrown onto this demon for the hell of it. No real reason at all. And because of that, it felt completely forced, unnecessary, and dragged a lot of that down. It would have been better for the morphed demon to just be an evil demon without any kind of sad backstory as to like when he was a human. Or again, it would have been better to have like better build up to that. As it was now, it dragged a lot down with that entire section of that episode and felt extremely weak. The show's my notable problems with the show, mainly being the story and characters, how they're developed, how they're shown, all of that jazz, really didn't get fixed in any way in these episodes. Tanjiro was still just as much of the same character as he always has been. The only thing he's really grown in is his ability to fight demons. It's like, whoop-de-doo. And he's also, by the way, only 2 years into it, he's just exceptionally good at it. Like, there is no logical way he should have been able to beat the Morph Demon that easily. That's another thing. On top of this entire final selection seeming like it went by way too quick and just didn't have enough put into it, so did his battle with the Morph Demon itself. Like, that battle should have taken a lot longer. And on top of it, it felt like he defeated it way too easily. And again, I know he's the main character, and I know he's special. He's got that sense of smell. He's got the hard head. He's really skilled after his training. I get that. But there's a difference between being extremely skilled and being obnoxiously overpowered to the point where he just easily kills this horrifying monstrous demon that's eaten over 50 people, including like 15 or so, I think it was, of Urokadaki's former students who also would have been very strong by this point. It makes no sense that he would have been able to do it that easily. Nezuko didn't have much of anything in these episodes because she wasn't in most of them. She just woke up kind of at the end there and like, oh, she ran up and hugged her brother. That's it. That was pretty much her character in these episodes. Oh, she was glad to see her brother and hugged him. Whoop-de-fucking-do. Urokadaki, like, he showed more depth and development in his character than probably anyone else in the series so far. Urokadaki, like the moment, especially when it's shown where Tanjiro's leaving and mentions the two kids' names, and he has that reaction. When Tanjiro returns and he sees him and he drops the logs and shit and goes over to hug him and congratulate him, the hot pot and everything as well. Just moments like those help develop him as a character, and despite not being able to see his face or anything, you can feel the emotion in his character during those scenes. And so it's like, I feel like Urokadaki is the best character in this show so far. And that's not a good thing. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, there are plenty of anime out there where, especially shonen anime, where the main character is not my favorite. Going back to Yu Yu Hakusho is another example. My favorite in that kind of switches between Kuwabara and Kurama. It's one of the two for sure. I kind of like switch between them sometimes. And then like with Naruto, my favorite character has never been Naruto. No, it's Hinata. And with Bleach, I like Ichigo, but he's not my favorite character by any means. Luffy's not my favorite character in One Piece, and so on and so forth. It's just like, I get that, and I'm not saying that Tanjiro has to be my favorite character, but your main character should be one of the best and most developed and well-written of the characters. Like, even though they're not always my favorite character, in a lot of these other shonen shows, the main character, Yusuke from Yu Yu Hakusho, Luffy from One Piece, Ichigo from Bleach, etc., they are extremely well developed, have a lot of depth, and are given much more so than most of the side characters who are, well, side characters. And here, it seems like Urokadaki just has what should be the level of depth and development of Tanjiro, while Tanjiro has more of the level of what Urokadaki should have. Especially with Urokadaki being more of an old master type of character. Like, he shouldn't necessarily need that kind of depth and development at this point in his character's lifespan. So it's like, and then the other characters we saw, yes, I know that blonde kid who is at the final selection is going to become a main character. He's shown in the opening and the outro. I've seen fan art of him. I don't know how important the other couple who were at the final selection are going to be. There's this girl there who's just kind of looked like she was communicating with nature. And there was the really brash, arrogant asshole kid as well. I don't know how important they're going to be, but yeah, they were a thing too. Even though, like, again, we never really saw much of any of them. So if they do come back, they're really going to have to develop them in some way as characters. Because right now, they're pretty much nothing. Which is another big issue I had with the final selection. We didn't get to, like, know any of the other characters taking it. We saw one kid who was being terrorized by the Morph Demon. We saw one other kid who got eaten by the Morph Demon. And then we saw the winners, and we got, like, very brief glimpses, very brief, at their personalities. And that's it. In most of these shonen shows, we get to know these other characters, even if they're not going to be important past that arc. And this is why I feel like this really needed to be longer. They really needed to extend this entire final selection and and introduce some of these other characters, including ones who would end up dying in the forest. And should have definitely done more with the fights against the morph demon. That should have been bigger and longer and had more focus to it. Well, you know what I mean. Um, it just feels like everything about this little, I guess you could call it, mini arc was rushed to hell. And again, outside of Urokadaki, it didn't really do much of anything for the characters. And in the end, Tanjiro's just being sent off on another mission, on his first mission, I should say. And yeah, things are just kind of moving forward as if these last couple episodes really didn't matter. It's just like, oh, you passed, you got your sword now, you got your weird, creepy talking crow. Let's move on to the next thing. And it's like, that's another thing I noticed with this series so far, is that we don't seem to have an arc going on. A lot of shonen anime, especially longer running ones, which this one I think counts as that for the manga. And based on the fact that I believe we're getting another season, probably will end up being a little longer running at least. It just seems like it's not arc sorted. And hell, a lot of anime, even not the longer running ones necessarily, are sorted by arcs. But this doesn't really seem to have any notable arc yet. Unless you want to count like these first 5 episodes as being like a training arc, or Tanjiro, some kind of arc involving Tanjiro becoming a demon slayer. But really, there's like the first episode is disconnected from like the second and the third. It's like the episodes are kind of just disconnected in ways. It's like only these past 2 episodes felt like they should have been their own arc, like their own mini arc. Like 4 or 5 episodes alone just dedicated to that. I don't know, it just feels like they rushed a lot of this, and that it wasn't really done well enough to really give it the praise I felt it needs. However, like I did say, these 2 episodes, 4 and 5, were definitely like a major step up from the first 3. They were. Also, the mask, by the way, was completely pointless. Like, when the mask was introduced, when Urokadaki gave the mask to Tanjiro, it was like, oh, I'm giving you this warded mask. This is going to be important. That's how that entire scene came off. It's like, this is going to be important. This is going to help you. This is going to save you. This is your lifeline. And then it's like, it ends up getting destroyed super easily. It's like, okay, that was a waste of time. I just feel like this series, from these first 5 episodes at least, aren't thinking things out well enough. They're rushing everything. And in the end, nothing feels like it has the level of just feeling that it should. I'm honestly disappointed. Because this series has potential, but it's not utilizing it in my eyes. And I really don't think, and like I said, these 2 episodes here felt like this is what this show was going to be more like. While the first 3 episodes were more like, okay, this is just our introduction, this felt like, okay, this is where this series is going to be. This is what it's going to be like. And that's not the best thing to be told. Because that doesn't give me hope for the future. It doesn't make me excited to continue watching. So, in the end, I feel like this is a series I could continue watching on my own. I feel like this is another one of those shows that I feel would be fair enough to continue to give a try on my own time. But as for reacting to it, no. It was better than Zombieland Saga, I can give it that, but this is not something that I have a desire to react to anymore. It's not something that I want to continue reacting to. I'm just so brought down by all of the issues that I find with it that I can't like find the desire to want to go on. I don't want to, like, basically, like I've put it with other shows, I don't want to spend time all my I don't want to spend all this time reacting to this series when I'm not enjoying it enough, when I'm not liking it enough, when I'm finding all these issues. It makes for an unenjoyable experience, and I feel it also makes for a poor reaction video. Because I'm going to be complaining like every episode. I'm just going to keep complaining about it, everything that's happening, because it's like I keep finding all these issues. And again, that doesn't make for a good reaction. I'm not saying reactions have to be entirely positive all the time, but you don't want an entire series of reactions to be nothing but bitching about how I don't like the series. That's not entertaining either. You have to have kind of a balance. like any show, it's like, yeah, there's going to be episodes where you're going to complain about something. But it's like you also want to have plenty of stuff that you are enjoying reacting to in order to have interest in continuing reacting to it, you know? So yeah, that unfortunately does mean I am dropping this series. And again, it's not so much the series. It's not so much that I think the series is worthless. It's not so much I think the series has no value. I definitely, like I said before in my pre-thoughts, I can see why people like it. I don't get all the hype surrounding it, and I definitely don't see why it's as popular as it is, but I can see why people like it. Like I said, it has that potential to it. But for me personally, I just can't get past all these issues. They're bothering me too much. So I really, really do apologize. I really do. I'll try to watch this on my own time, or try to see if I can find someone's reactions to watch it with. I know SOS Bros have done this series, but I think that they have I think that it's probably going to be like the chopped up version, you know, like a lot of reactors do. So it's like I'd rather see like the full thing. I don't know if anyone has done reactions to the full episodes. I don't know. Well, you know what I mean, because they do reactions to full episodes, but they cut it up in their videos. But I'll check it out going forward, kind of on my own time, you can say, and we'll kind of go from there and see what we've got in store in that situation. And if for some reason, whatever, I don't end up watching it on my own time that often, I mean, maybe there's some minuscule chance I might like have some time to give it one more shot in the future, but I don't see that happening. It's more likely that I'll watch it on my own time. Maybe I'll like talk about it a little bit in my Discord, which is linked down in the description below. But yeah, it's not something I want to spend time recording reactions to. It's not good enough for me, and at this point it's honestly starting to annoy me a little with all of the issues I keep finding with it. So now the question would be, what will replace it? because Demon Slayer is a donation reward slot. Um, so yeah, what will replace Demon Slayer? What is next on the list, basically? The next one on the list is actually one that was requested quite a while back, and I just hadn't been able to get to it yet because it hadn't come out yet. See, one of multiple series that Space Apples requested for the future is Crisis Jung, or Jung, or however it's pronounced, um, which is a French animated adult series. It is a mini series. It's like 10 episodes long, I believe, and each of the episodes are really short. I think he said it was like an hour, 20 minutes total for all 10 episodes. Something like that. But it's like, so this one will be a lot easier to get through, and it might be a lot quicker too, because I'll be able to definitely do multiple episodes pretty much each time, unless something stops me or I really want to get to other stuff as well that day. But yeah, so Crisis Jung will be the new slot for this one. I will change the channel banner as soon as I can. I don't even know how easy it's going to be to find a character model for Crisis Jung. But yeah, it's like that's going to be replacing Demon Slayer. I apologize to everyone who really enjoys this series. And again, all of my thoughts on this, all of my complaints are based only on what I have seen. Just keep that in mind. It's only on what I've seen. I'm not saying the series as a whole. Only these first 5 episodes. And I do apologize to everyone who really likes this and wanted to see me continue to react to it, but I can't force myself to do that at this point. So yeah, I apologize, but we'll move on. Unfortunately, it is always a risk with show reactions. Hell, there have been show reactions that I've wanted to do that I've dropped. So, but we will start Crisis Jung at some point in the near future. I don't know exactly when, but I hope that no matter that you understand where I'm coming from and why I'm choosing to drop this. And again, I will try to watch this on my own time, see where it goes. Because hell, you never know. It might end up becoming really good. But usually, most of the time, when I don't like a series by this point, I'm not going to end up liking it. Most of the time, by this point, it's like I can tell whether or not I'm going to like a series. But yeah, I'll try watching it on my own time and see how it goes. See where exactly if I end up liking it more or not as it goes on. But yeah, so once again, I apologize, but we are moving on. So thank you all so much for tuning in, and for now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.